thank you for joining the Kentucky Couple Travel Podcast. I'm Clifton.
And I'm Whitney.
All right, so we're back again. This will be episode number 9. So I have to plan something big for next week. Number 10, that's a mini milestone. We'll celebrate all of them. So this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. We're going to call this Cruising 101. So one of the things that we're ask about the most when we talk about traveling and some of our adventures, and something I think that we're a big advocate of is cruising. We love to cruise, and we got off on a rocky start with cruising. We've talked about that probably in previous episodes, and may get into a little bit this time about something that we really an experience we didn't like, but overall we love it. So
yes.
Anything to get us started, Whitney, that you want to talk about cruising?
Well, there's a lot to talk about, so I think we'll just dive in.
Yeah, we'll dive in. So what we want this to kind of be is a mixture of some tips if you're planning on cruising, but more importantly, if in your mind you're like, all right, that's something I want to try, but I don't know what to expect. This is going to be.
We didn't either.
This is going to be for you.
First time. Sometimes the first time is tough because it is kind of different. But
and I don't like that. I don't like not knowing what to expect. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about here today. So like I said, we're going to call this Cruising 101. And we're going to start with a tip. And this is something that I do with really every vacation, but especially this is important with cruising. And that is start looking and planning early. Okay?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
There are an endless amount of possibilities when you go looking for cruises. If you just type in, or Google cruise vacations, you're going to be overwhelmed with all the results that you get. It's just going to be too much. So start thinking about, okay, where do I want to go? When do I want to go? What type of ship do I want to be on? What kind of atmosphere do I want to be a part of? All those things are things that are important. It's, and the earlier you start thinking about it, the better deals you're going to get, the less chance that the cruise you want is going to be already taken, because they do sell out. Cruising is a popular thing, even after the pandemic. There are people lined up to cruise. So start looking early. And here's one thing. We're going to get into kind of booking and pricing and all that in a little bit. But one of the good things, let's say you book a cruise today and it's for, 2 years from now. So it's summer 2022. Let's say we book for summer 2024. And let's say I book a room and we'll just do good even numbers. It's $1,000 a person. Okay. Let's say, 6 months from now I look and that same cruise, that same room is $800 a person. You can call the cruise line or call your travel agent, and kind of usually it's wrote up in the contract. They'll give you that $200 back as money to spend on board. So they'll price match kind of with themselves up until the date that your final payments due. So just know you can book early, and there's really no penalty. It's not a gamble thinking, all right, if I wait last minute, I'm gonna get a better deal. You may get a better deal, or it may be a worse deal. I've seen it be higher, and I've seen it sell out.
So you never know. Random. You just never know.
So you got to look. Remember what I told you a couple episodes ago. When you're shopping, go incognito mode. Don't log into anything. And if you're not ready to commit, don't sign in, and don't go in just your standard browser, because they'll jack those prices up on you. If you're looking at this same cruise day after day, they're going to say, all right, hey, this guy's going, we'll add a couple $100 onto it. Their computer program, that algorithm will do that. So that'll save you some money. So that's something we've always tried to do. Have we always done that? No, but we like to. All right. So next thing for us, and Whitney, you can kind of start to chime in here. There are a lot of different types of cruises and ships.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would say the ships that we've been on, they've all been mainstream cruise lines, and they have all been, I would say, smaller to middle class ships. Would you agree
Yeah.
with that? And
First one, very small.
now, and when we say smaller, we don't mean like a pontoon or a houseboat.
That would
Okay.
be crazy.
These are like floating cities. Okay. So when we say a small cruise ship, we're still talking about probably 2,000 passengers and 1,000 crew member. Okay. The one we just got off of was held almost 3,000 and almost 1,500 crew members. So, and that's a small to mid-level ship. We have one, our next cruise will likely, we're going on it, but I don't anticipate going on one before then. But we're going next summer back to the Bahamas on the Oasis of the Seas, which is one of the biggest cruise ships in the world right now. I think it's second or third. It's kind of sister ship, maybe number one. But on those ships, you're looking at 6,000 people. I mean, it's a city.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's pretty much a floating city.
So that's your main cruise lines, though. So when you're thinking of cruising, kind of what you think of, your kind of main brands: Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Holland America,
Princess.
Yeah, Princess. Holland American Princess kind of get maybe to a little bit higher level on some of their
I'd like
boats.
to try one.
Disney,
Disney.
is mainline, but it's kind of a higher level. But you kind of get, your Norwegian, Carnival, Royal Caribbean. Those are some that are just, these huge ships. Then that are big ships, but maybe it's a little upper class, like we said, Disney, Holland America, the Princess. You got kind of Celebrity, all like this, and these are your big ocean liners. These you still huge ships, but maybe a class up. There's a new one that we've not been on, but there's been some early reviews come back on Virgin Atlantic. They've started kind of a different take on cruising. I think it's kind of adult. I don't think kids are allowed.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of maybe to an older crowd or maybe to young adults even. So that's one, and it's a big ship as well. Then from there, you can get to kind of to your luxury cruises. You get like your Cunards, your Queen Marys, things like that. That you're looking at maybe 1,000 people. Still a pretty good sized boat, but you're looking at high end. Like every room may come with a butler or maybe a suite.
That'd be great.
Yeah. But typically, your big boats, there's going to be something for everybody. They're trying to please everybody. Now there's little differences in all of those, but they're all they're casting a wide net.
Yeah, and like each one, and I know you probably talk about that, but like Carnival is like more of it's a little bit cheaper, and they really work, I think, to make families and people have a great time. They are the party fun boat. They call themselves the fun ship, and they are. They're always doing something. They're just energetic about it, and kids. There's things for kids on there, I think, and that's a good one. I think that's a great first time ship. You kind of get your feet wet and you save a little bit of money. So, but yeah, they're just each one. You can almost look at each one and see the stepping stones of how the audience that they're going for.
Yeah. That's a good way to say it. It's a different audience, and then also there are even smaller ships. They're like river cruises, and they're talking 3 to 500 people maybe on board. And when you get to the river cruises and the luxury cruises, a lot of times those are geared more toward retired, older people. So you're probably not seeing these, huge rock shows. And you're definitely not seeing the Dr. Seuss characters walk around. It's probably more about the food, the places they're going, maybe, more exotic locations. But it's higher end. It's more individualized. Kind of think. If you're looking like colleges, a public university against a private university, you're going to pay a little more at those smaller private schools, but you're kind of more individualized. You have that attention on you a little more. So just know no matter what you're looking for, cruising has something for you.
Yeah, it does.
So, but for this, from our experience, like I said, we've been on Royal Caribbean Carnival. We plan on hopefully one day doing some of these other major lines, but we're going to talk about those really, and so just know our experience are going to come from those, the things we tell you about, and
we're
some
not
of the advice
like
we give.
pro cruisers.
Nope.
We've not been on. Some people have been on many more than us.
Yeah, a lot
Probably
of people
could tell you a lot more than us.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of do that full time. That's
But
their
sometimes I
life.
like to hear from people who are just kind of, just the average Joe
like-
going on
like
a trip.
you.
So that's what we're trying to let you know what it's like.
Yep. So with those major cruise lines, like I said, there are a lot of your smaller ships are going to be older ships. There's some mid-level ships that are pretty new and or at least they've renovated those. But most the ships now that they're building are just huge.
Yeah, they're massive.
So
I mean, I know that sounds, and it's so easy for us to say they're huge, but until you stand close to one or see one for the first time, like you just have no idea. Like it is massive, and I guess a lot of things that I get asked about it. Like we said, we get asked about it a lot. Is am I going to feel that ship, or I guess in their mind it's hard for us to picture anything besides like what you go to the lake on.
yeah.
But these are so big. I mean, they house like 6-7 restaurants. They house like different lounges, different like there's like several like pub areas or bars. So there's bars there. There's so much.
Casino.
I mean, there's casinos, there's arcades, there's kids places.
Putt-putt golf, water parks.
Yeah, water parks. Some have roller coasters. Some have
Go-karts.
go-karts.
Ice skating rinks.
Yeah, I mean, there's like usually theaters, like a theater you watch a show in, not like a movie theater, but and some I think a lot of them will have like a movie theater on top, like a deck, where you can lay on the chairs and watch movies. I mean, they're really accommodating. The biggest thing I get a lot of, I'm afraid of water, I'm this, and I don't think I could stand on seeing land. And I'll be honest, when we first talked about going on cruises, the biggest thing for me was I thought that I couldn't stand like pulling away from the land, not seeing the land. But when you're on a boat that big, honestly,
If you don't want to know you're on the ocean,
if you didn't look
won't.
out the window or go on the deck, you're probably not even going to know. And it didn't even bother me because our second cruise, like we had a balcony and it was fantastic. It was just, to me, it was like sitting on a condo at the beach looking off. I mean, seriously, when you're thinking about it, don't let fear get you because it is massive.
So when we say massive, just put that into perspective, and you did a good job explaining kind of what all is on there, and just like I said, it's a floating city. But the Oasis of the Seas, right now, it is the 5th largest cruise ship. All the other ones are sister ships from Royal Caribbean, the 4 that's ahead of it. So Oasis was kind of the first of that Oasis class, and so it came out in 2009. So now 13 years old. But just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about when we say these huge ships, it's 220,000 gross tons, 1,187 feet long. It was just redone in 2019, and it will now hold 5,606 guests in addition to 2,109 crew members. So you're looking 8,000 people almost. 16 decks, so you're looking 16 stories tall.
Yeah,
I mean,
think of a condo, 16 stories. I mean, most of them are in that tall.
And like I said, in these ships, and really all the ships, there are movie theaters. There's 2 Carnival ships that have IMAX theaters in them. There are roller coasters. There are go-karts. There
Not
are
on every
water roller
one, but
coasters. Yeah.
you check your ship because they have at least some of this, most of them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and you don't have to worry because they even have like a medical center and a pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you desperately need, the first time we went, I literally went to the Dollar Tree and I bought every kind of medicine they have because if you have to buy medicine on it, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
But
You
they
can get
have
travel insurance. Though.
Yeah, you can get travel insurance and stuff, and but and we don't see a lot of it. I don't think there's a lot of things going on like emergencies or whatever. So when you think about that, you don't have to worry about it. There are ways to get help if you need it.
Yeah.
There's spas.
Yeah.
If you need that, because that's what I need.
There's different kinds of restaurants. But just know, kind of think, what audience am I? What things do I like? And if you like to always kind of be on the go, these huge cruise lines are going to be for you. If you're maybe retired or want to get away from the kids, just want something like back, maybe a step down maybe for you. So just kind of know, where do I want to go? Is it more about the ship or more about the location I'm going to? And then start that in your planning process. Now, that gets to the next thing. When you are starting your planning process and you've kind of decided, all right, I want this cruise line and this ship and I want to go to these dates, what I recommend is either going through some third-party website or through a travel agent. Now, I think a lot of things people think about travel agents, they're like, well, that's going to cost me money. Why would I want to just pay somebody to plan my vacation? That's not the case. Most travel agents, their fee comes from the cruise line. So let's go back to that hypothetical that we had. Let's say we book a cruise and it's $1,000 a person. It's going to be, and so far we've booked usually through Priceline Cruises. That they have their own separate cruise division. It's a travel agency, and you'll have your own personal travel agent that you can call, ask questions, and we're going to talk about some of the benefits of that. But if you look at Priceline, that cruise is going to be $1,000, and if you go directly to Carnival or Royal Caribbean, it's going to be the same price, probably 95 times out of 100. The difference is, if you go through a travel agent, they're going to handle the booking. They know about it. They're experienced. That's their job.
Especially first-time cruises. Yeah, I think that'd be a great.
You have somebody to ask those questions. If you notice a price fluctuation, you call them. They handle all that. But that $1,000 has commission built in for the travel agent. So either you pay $1,000 and a part of it goes to the cruise line and a part of it goes to the travel agent, or you book directly through the cruise line and they get it all. Okay, so it's the same. Just know, when you use a travel agent, it's not going to cost you anything.
And like we say, we do use Priceline a lot, and they're just a generic. I mean, not really generic, but like a big company. But I feel like we've had some pretty good deals with them, and sometimes we've checked and they've been the same prices like the Carnival website, but sometimes they'll have specials. Like Carnival, most of the time makes you pay like a pretty hefty deposit, usually $400 or $500 maybe up front.
A lot of times half, maybe.
Yeah, but now sometimes Priceline will hold a special where you can book and hold the room for $25 or $50 to go ahead and get that reserved.
Yep.
To where you can then you start making payment. They'll have like a payment plan you can pay whenever you want, or they'll like have a time where they'll automatically take it out. And you always have to pay cruises 30 days in advance because there's no getting buyback.
Maybe
Carnival,
even earlier than that. Maybe
I'm thinking it may be 60, yeah, but it's either 60 or 30. But whatever card you use, they will take that off of your card that day. And if you do not have it on there, like in a day or two,
they'll give your room away.
Yeah, they'll what'd you say?
They'll give your room away.
Oh, they'll give you room. I thought you said they'll run away.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't hear. Anyway, it got me tickled for a second. Yeah, they will not hold your room. They will give it away. So be aware that if you go, that they're going to take money out, but you can make payments in between. I did see something online. We've not used this. We usually will book with Priceline, and we've been lucky enough to pay like the 50 or 25 and then make payments.
Yeah.
But and it's a lot more affordable. I know it seems like it's a very expensive thing, but it's more affordable than you think. But they have a new thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's like Upstart or something. And you can apply, and they'll let you pay like...
Sometimes interest-free.
Yeah, sometimes interest-free, and you can pay by the month. And sometimes if your credit, I guess, isn't great, they'll add interest. I don't know how it works. We never used it. But they have those new programs as well to make it affordable.
And that's just another benefit to, booking early. Is you can stretch that out, and if you're booking a cruise for 2 years in the future, you have a little bit of time to make those payments. And,
that's the thing, and we do that a lot. We try to make ours in advance.
So, but just know those resources are there for you to use, and they're helpful. So another benefit of going through a travel agent or those third party sites are a lot of times they're going to run promotions to try to gain your business that maybe the cruise line may not. They may not offer. So I know with Priceline, a lot of times they give us, 50, 100, even up to like $200 on board credit to spend however you want to on board.
Yeah.
When you get on there, so it's just like free money. So look for those promotions.
Look for onboard credits. What it would say. So that's
credit.
And that means money that you will get on the boat on your little card.
Use whatever you want to, whether it's for a specialty restaurant we'll talk about, whether it's you want
arcade, casino, shops,
drinks, whatever it is you want, that you can use that. It's just like cash on board. So that gets us to the next thing, and that's really, I think this is what's going to be most helpful for people, and that's what does cruising cost and what's included and not included. Okay, so when you go and look at a cruise, you're going to see a price, and after that price, there's going to be what's called taxes, like on everything, and port fees. So every place that ship stops charges fees per person that's on board. So that's something they have to charge. It's just taxes and fees. That's everything. And some locations are more expensive than others. When we just got back from Alaska, that had much higher port fees than like the Bahamas. And typically it's going to be more the more nights because you're stopping in more places. But let's stick with what we're saying. $1,000. Let's say that's our total with taxes, fees, all in $1,000 a person. Okay. There's different room types that you're going to have, and obviously your inside rooms are going to be the least expensive. Then you're just going to go up to where you have what's called an ocean view room. That's just pretty much an inside room that has a window. You see the water. Then you go up to a standard balcony room, which is probably a little bigger on the room. You may have like a bed and a couch rather than just a bed, and maybe
and sometimes the beds will fold out or the couches will fold out to another bed.
And then you have a balcony. Now the balconies are not huge; they're going to be wide enough for 2 or 3 people to stand, and for two chairs and a little table. That's kind of what's going to be there. Then you're going to have maybe some extended balconies where you have longer balconies or wider balconies or whatever. Then you get up into your suites, and there's all different levels of suites. Up to, I know some of these new boats now, they have 4 and 5 room suites that have 2 stories. They have their own parts of the ships that nobody else can go to. I know I saw one that had an elevator take you from the first floor to the second, and then a slide that brought you back downstairs. So it's just over the top, whatever.
Be wonderful.
Like I said, whatever you want, but
whatever your money is, they'll got it for you.
So whatever your budget is, when you get there and you've paid that, what's included is your room. And each room is going to have a room steward. They're going to have a block of rooms, and that room steward is kind of
like
your go-to.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it is like having a little like butler or something. Yeah. It's not as much. You're sharing.
It's not somebody you're calling like all the time.
But if you need something, they'll be there.
You'll see them in the hallway, and
they learn your name.
They're super friendly. They will memorize your name, and when you get on board, they're going to say, "All right, do you want your room cleaned in the morning, in the evening, or both?" And when you leave, let's say you go out and you're gone for an hour or two and come back, a lot of times they've made your bed. We always ask, the only thing we really ask for is ice. And we tell them that the first day, and then every day they bring you buckets of ice. So they're just, they're there to make your life easier. And then in addition to the room steward, which is included, you're going to have your food. Every cruise line that we've been on, and most of them that I've heard about, your food's included. Now, that food is going to come from, usually the main dining room is included.
And you do get things like steak.
Yep.
And the cool thing about the main dining room is there's just so many different options too. So
that's where you're going to be able to try things that you've never really tried.
I know that there's in the past they've like ox tongue, frog legs. Cluton's mom last time tried calamari. the octopus. But they also have things like chicken tenders for kids.
Yeah, steak.
You can get steak every night, like grilled chicken breasts. They'll have spaghetti or lasagnas and things like that. But you do get a menu for that.
But it includes that food. It includes the food that's kind of at the buffet. It usually includes like the pizza place, and it depends on the ship. Sometimes there's other little restaurants and venues around. The ones we've been on Carnival, also that's included in the price, is a guy's burger joint, which is burgers.
And they're really good. I like them.
The Blue Iguana Cantina.
Tacos.
It has tacos, burritos, all that. All that is included.
Yeah.
You don't pay any extra for it. And here's the other thing, and we'll talk more about this when we get into kind of what life is like on board, but it's all you want. Like if you go,
they might
dinner,
just give you a little bit, but you can still order more and more.
If you go to dinner and you're like, all right, I want 2 steaks, or I want the steak and the chicken, you just tell them and they bring it. It's as much as you want, and it's all included. Now, each cruise line is a little different on drinks. You can buy typically what comes with it on both Royal Caribbean and Carnival. That's been our experience. You get free juices, water, tea, and coffee. And that's not like bottled water. That's just like water they have like in a fountain or something. Or maybe a cooler, just a machine that you get water. But it's good. Lemonade's good. I have no trouble with that. But also you can, and some have free soda.
There's hot chocolate too sometimes.
Yeah, hot chocolate.
Well, all the time, really.
Mm-hmm. But
ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream. There's usually 24 hours.
There's like soft serve stations.
And then there's going to be specialty restaurants. That's going to be something that's outside what you've already paid. So they may have a specialty steakhouse, or I know sometimes they've had specialty sushi places, or Chinese, or whatever it is. There's all sorts of different restaurants. Some places barbecue or a sports bar or whatever. But there's usually going to be a specialty restaurant on board most ships. And I know some cruise lines now are starting to go, that's included. But that's just something to know. There are going to be restaurants there that they'll upsell you on, or try to.
But you don't have to take that. You don't have to eat those unless it's something you really want.
Now, the next thing that's included is all the entertainment. So there's shows.
Except bingo.
Bingo. There's shows that's going on pretty much around the clock. There's comedy shows. There's like Broadway style shows. There's musicals. There's plays. And then there's smaller things. There's like trivia and contests and
the
karaoke.
kids, like there's Dr. Seuss breakfast.
Yeah, and there's also like kid clubs. So like it's grouped by like maybe 0 to 5 and 5 to 10 and 11 to 15, and then like
you can
the
take
older
them to
ones.
camp.
You can take them to camp, and all that's included. That's not any extra. So it's kind of all in. When you have that price, it's not just like you go to a hotel and then you have all these other things on top of that. It's everything that you need.
The only things you are paying for is, like you said, specialty restaurants, soda, like any type of pop soda, whatever.
We don't drink, but if you do alcohol. That's more.
Like there is some like bakery areas that you can pay
like
for extra, like milkshakes or
Starbucks
donuts or Starbucks, something like
Jerry's.
that. Anything pretty much, like that is what you pay for, but you could go the whole time and not eat,
not spend
have
another
to use
dollar.
Any of that.
Obviously there's casinos, there's bingo.
We usually buy the soda drink, and I say soda pop because some, I don't know who's listening how you say it, but Coke, whatever. But some people, or we actually buy that usually because I like to have and that's something too that's different on each ship. Like on Carnival, you have to take your little card, which will explain what that is, to the bar, and they'll give you a glass of ice and a can of pop or whatever. And then on other places, they may have a refillable drink station, but we always get our drinks.
And that's the thing, do your research when you go. And that's something that I'm always a big believer in is, I don't like to go and not know what I'm doing. I don't like to, go spend the first half of my vacation learning what's where on the cruise ship. I like to kind of feel like I've already been there when I step on board. So do all that research. Know, all right, Royal Caribbean serves Coke products and Carnival serves Pepsi products, and and some you can bring soda, a 12-pack on with you, and some you can't. So just do that research. Just know, but all that's included. Now, one other thing that you will have to pay for. That's not included in that. You can prepay this, or you can pay it at the end, and that's your gratuities. So, there's a lot of people, and I will say, I don't know if I've ever had an experience on a cruise ship where somebody was rude or hateful.
No.
I feel like, overall, the service industry, mostly you have good experiences. But the best I've ever had is on the cruise ships. I feel like they go above and beyond to make your trip great and memorable. So when you go, they're going to be so much gratuities per day. I don't know what it is right now on East Cruise Line. I know it just raised, but everything's went up. But let's just say it's $20 a day per person. That's going to go, so much of that is going to go to your wait staff, like in the main dining room. So much of that is going to go kind of to the housekeeping and to your room steward. And, some of that's going to be split up amongst the other people across the boat. Now, what we typically do, you do not have to. They don't pressure you in any way to. But the people that we come in contact with a lot, like our room steward especially, we always tip them a little more because they're there and they're really...
They're talking to you every time you're in the hallway. And your family.
Yeah. They feel like part of your family by the time you leave a lot of times. So we always give them a little extra. Nothing, over the top. I know everybody does things different. Some people...
And it's typically just a couple of dollars. I mean, it really isn't much.
Yeah, we just do,
And that's what most people do.
Yeah. Just something extra for them just to know, you appreciate them. We do that. Like I said, you do not have to. And you can add more to your gratuities and they'll handle it for you. You could go down to the lobby and tell them at the front desk, hey, we want to give our room steward a little more, or you can just hand them cash. So whatever you want to do, you can. But just know that is an expense that maybe when you first pay for your cruise is not there. Yeah, you'll know
It'll
that.
show you.
They'll tell you that. And we prepay those a lot of times. Just that way, when we get off the boat, we don't have any. We know we're not going to have any expenses.
Yeah, and you don't have to go take care of anything. You just kind of just leave.
Yeah. So, just plan that. Put that in your budget, and know that's coming. Now, so that's kind of the price. I will say for us, cruising has been the most economical way to travel. I mean, for about what you would pay generally for a hotel.
Yeah, or especially like going to like
condo.
the beach. It's like for us, our family. Usually, family goes. It's over $3,000.
And that's just the room. But
then
for what you're
groceries,
paying just for your room, other places, you're getting your room. You're right on the ocean.
Pretty much a butler.
You're taking all these stops every day.
Taking care of you,
All
putting
your
animal
food-
towels on your bed.
Yeah, all your food's included.
Lots of
everything-
entertainment.
Yeah, it's just your entertainment. You're all in for really what you'd pay just for a room other places. So I mean, we were looking at some of these huge boats with all this stuff going on, and you're still looking at $100 a person a night. I mean, that's a hotel. That's a hotel, and you have all the other things. So for us, it's the best way to travel.
It's just the cheapest for us. And we've not ever paid a big lot for a cruise.
No. So next, let's talk about kind of what to expect. And we're going a little long here, so we're already at 30 minutes.
We may end up having to part two.
No, we'll try to wrap this up and get it all in here. So when you go, you're going to what's called an embarkation process. Now, that's a little different right now with COVID. There are going to be some extra steps where they're going to, make sure you're vaccinated and all that stuff. But typically what you're going to do, you're going to go and you're going to go into this huge room, and they're going to check you in. You're going to go through security like you would at an airport. You're going to give them your luggage, excuse me, and then you're going to go and you're going to set up a way to pay for your stuff.
Yeah.
You're either going to give them cash and start kind of a cash account, which is usually what we do, or you can put a credit card on file, and just everything you do on board will go to that card.
Yeah, and then they give you in return after you checked in, they've seen all your documents. And one thing is it depends on where you go. If you go to the Bahamas, Alaska, you can actually take your birth certificate And you don't have to have a passport, but now we do like to have you can get
if you leave
passport.
out of the United States and come back to the United States, a round trip, you don't have to have a passport. You can go
but you
with
just take your
a
birth certificate and your ID. But now if you do, we do like to get the passport card's pretty simple when cruising. It looks like an ID or a driver's license, but it's pretty simple.
One of the good things about having a passport is, let's say we were in the Bahamas and had a family member, somebody got sick at home or had an emergency and we had to go home. And you still have 3 days left on your cruise and you need to fly home from the Bahamas, you would have to have a passport.
Yeah, you can't.
So if you didn't have a passport, what you're going to have to do is go to the American Embassy, get an emergency passport, and then go.
Yeah, so it's kind of a thing that I would definitely recommend that you kind of go for ahead of time if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, if you're going to do traveling, get a
but
passport.
you don't have to. You can just take your birth certificate. They will, after they check everything in, they check you in. They've already taken your luggage. You will get it's called a sail and sign card. Is that what's called sail and sign?
It depends what.
Or what?
Carnival sail and sign, I think Royal Caribbean, because it's like some Crown and Anchor
but it's
card.
it looks like a little like a school ID card or something, like a credit card or room key, and you want to put it on a lanyard, and I always keep it around my neck because you do not want to leave without that. That is your lifeline on a cruise.
That card is going to be kind of your ticket. It's going to tell your information, your
when
name.
You're on and off the boat, you have to have it.
You have to have that, but it's going to be your room key. It's going to get you in and out of your room. It is going to be your money. It's like a credit card.
You use it everywhere you go. They slide it and they add it to your room.
If you go to the casino,
you put it in the games.
You don't drop in quarters. You swipe that card.
Arcade, buying something in
the shop. If you go to
shop.
the arcade, if you go buy a milkshake, if you go buy a T-shirt.
That's why, and that is one reason why we always, we put our cash on ahead. So we'll put let's say we want, we're gonna limit ourselves to $200 on board. Then if our credit card isn't hooked to it, then we're going to be a little more careful about how much we spend because it's going to tell you when you get down to zero.
You have an app, and they'll print it off and give it to you too every day, and there's kiosks you can go to and check. But your app will tell you kind of a running total. All right, here's what you spent.
It tells you everything you bought,
down
like
to
a
the
bank
penny,
account.
how much you got left on that card. And what we do, usually we have some onboard credit, maybe a couple $100, and then we'll add a couple hundred, and we just know, hey, we're not going to spend more than that.
But you can add more money if you want to. You can actually
you
go
can
down and put, because we do take
more.
some cash, and you can, if you say I'm going to spend $50 more, you can go to a little kiosk, put $50 on your card, or you can link your credit card to it and pay it at the end. I just always be careful about that because when you're swiping for for one example, for me in the arcade, you're swiping for games. It may look like you're not spending much, and it could really add up. So you have to be really careful.
You just hear horror stories. I mean, for us, I'm not a foodie, so we don't. The specialty restaurants aren't something that we really do.
I just don't see a big difference in it anyway. But we
don't drink, so we're not. We
usually pre-purchase the pot.
We don't have huge bar tabs, but you hear horror stories for people that may go and everything's linked to their credit card, and they've gambled a lot, or they've been to the bar several times. It just be like room service
at a hotel. They make like on Home Alone.
At the end of the week.
Yeah,
they've got thousands of dollars in charges.
And it's like when Kevin's dad finds out on Home Alone, he's like, Kevin, because he spent too much. It could happen. So be careful with that.
So if you know, and that's another thing, if you have kids, you can kind of limit there. You can put just so much on their account. So that's just something we like to do. It's easy to budget. So just know that going in.
I feel like it's a lot easier to budget with a cruise than actually going out.
So that's the biggest part of ship life that's different is that selling sign card is really.
And when you leave, you're so used to it, you want to use it at the gas station. It takes us a little bit of time to get used to not using it.
It does. So when on board, Whitney, what's something that just kind of stands out to you, the vibes of being on a cruise that kind of stands out to you?
It don't matter what cruise I've been on. It's so tropical still. Like I think they just, just everywhere you go, it's like they're focused around like almost like a laid back tropical. Yeah. Well, Carnival is. Royal Caribbean really wasn't. Carnival's kind of got that.
Relaxed.
Yeah, Royal Caribbean's relaxed. Carnival's just like upbeat, fun. We're at the beach.
Always something.
It reminds me of like Jimmy Buffett. That kind of thing. It's 5:00 somewhere type deal. And everybody's just, most of the time on the cruise we've been, everybody's just happy. Most people are in a good mood. Everybody, and you feel like you actually feel like you're on board with your family. Like everybody kind of feels like a family. You meet people, you talk to people, you get used to them. You pass them several times in the hallways, and you pass them in the elevators and dinner tables. And we've met some cool people. it's a fun vibe, and I really like cruising. It takes a little bit to get used to. Your first one, you may not, keep give it another chance if you aren't crazy about it at first. It is a little different.
Yeah,
but
I would say when you do this, do research, ask people that's going. You're welcome to ask us questions, obviously, but kind of know what do I like to do on vacation, and find a ship or a cruise line that does that.
And the port.
there'll
Look
be
at the
something-
port too,
yep.
because there might be a city you want. It's like we wanted to go to New York, so when we went up to our East Coast cruise, we were able to visit New York. So a lot of the ports are pretty cool, and I know for some of my friends that I've talked to that's from here in Kentucky where we're from, that's close by southeastern part. Check right now, they're still going out of Charleston, and they will be for another and I think it's another
So
year.
the end of 2024.
So I would really check Charleston out as for a first time cruise. The Sunshine is the boat that leaves there. It's a great boat.
Good mid-sized ship.
Good
Smaller mid-sized.
Yeah, it's very good. I loved the Sunshine. I thought it was a great boat, and it's from us. It's like a 6-hour drive, so that's a good one to check out. And I just wanted to throw that in there. If you're wanting to go for the first time, check out, and you're close by here where we live. Check out the Sunshine and drive to Charleston. Plus, Charleston's a nice town too.
So this is an episode we're definitely going to put kind of a comment post on our Facebook. If you have questions about cruising, make sure you ask those.
We can do a
ask
Q&A
us. Yeah,
we need to.
Yeah, we would love to have some feedback on each of our episodes. We're going to be putting those comments, posts on our Facebook. Go there and on Facebook, the Kentucky Couple, and tell us what you thought about the episode, but more importantly, your questions, your comments, your experiences cruising, good, bad, ugly, all in between. Tell us what you know about it. You may have thought of something that, like, how could they have not talked about this? Tell us about it. And maybe.
Well, there is one thing that my friend asked me that I wanted to address real quick. Right. She has a little boy that's a really picky eater, and that was a question she had about, like, he just eats like ramen noodles and French fries and stuff, and there aren't really working refrigerators or microwaves. Yeah, and I'm not sure. That's another thing you have to check with the cruise line. Yeah. But that's something I'm not exactly sure about. A lot of them don't, and they are pretty picky about what you do bring on the ship. That is something to think about. But your cruise line will tell you.
Prepackaged food, though, is fine.
But now let me tell you, honey, my snacks. I talk about them every time. The first one we went on, I had a whole suitcase of snacks alone, which in turn saved Clifton over because he's picky and he didn't like a lot of food.
Let's be real. I'm a picky eater, so like I'm none of the exotic stuff I'm gonna eat. Usually when we go to any restaurant, even on the cruises, no different. I usually don't eat sides. I'll just eat like whatever main course I eat, and that's it. And sometimes steak and chicken can get old after a week, so I'll always pack me some
the granola bars, chips,
potato chips,
candy,
and you can take that stuff.
Peanut butter crackers, and Carnival lets you bring each person can bring like a 12-pack pop if you don't want to buy the drink pack. I mean, there's just so much. This is so in depth that we could talk for 2 hours. Yeah. There's so much more I could tell you, and we're always here to answer these questions. But like I told her, I'm not exactly sure. That is something that
I know if you have food allergies or dietary needs, you can request that ahead of time. So if something that's holding you back, call them and talk to them. Worst they can do is tell you no. But most of the time they want to serve you. They want to help you.
And they're pretty picky about like so you won't bring any like hair dryers. You can bring curling irons. You can bring straightening irons, but you can't bring hair dryers. There's
surge protectors.
And there's like one good plug-in in the room part.
Some newer boats are getting better about that.
Yeah, that's some of the boats we've been on, But we take a power strip, but it can't be a surge protector one. Yep. We do take a small fan because sometimes I feel stuffy in the room, and I like a fan, so you can take that, a small one that will fit in your luggage. But you just have to be really careful and check the things out, the do's and don'ts of things they allow you to bring, and we're here for those questions as well.
Yep. So when we post this on Facebook on Friday, it'll be up from now on, but we'll also make a comment post, and go there. Tell us your questions. What do you want to know about cruising? What's some things that we could do to help you? And we'll talk about that at the beginning of our next episode before we go into whatever other adventure that we've been on that we're going to tell you all about. So anything else you want to add before we start to wrap this up?
I think we've talked about quite a bit. There's still, like I said, there's still a lot more. So
I feel like we just kind of spit a lot out there.
I just feel like we have, and I feel like there's so much more we could say, but for time purposes, but just let us know. Let us know what you want to
Yeah.
know. We will answer your questions.
Yep, and so guys, make sure you go check out our website, KentuckyCouple.com. Our Facebook, Instagram are really the best places to go. You can see the pictures of all the things we've gone and done, all the cruise ships we've been on, and kind of can see some of the great things that we're talking about. You can kind of see those. So just be on the lookout for that. One last thing, here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to look to start videotaping these, so we'll kind of have the ability to show you some of the pictures and show you some of the things that we're talking about as we're talking about it. So that'll be on YouTube in addition to the audio podcast that we have
Stay tuned.
now. So, but we appreciate everybody listening, guys. This is, like I said, this next one's going to be episode number 10, and so share this with everybody that you can. But we appreciate everybody's support, and thanks for listening.
Thanks.